All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Mikestand. Um, Hopefully everybody was able to catch some of the release information from last night. Um, on the latest in DC and Marvel releases. Anyways, we're gonna of course give it a few minutes, give people a chance to come in before we get started. Anyways, let's see. Um, All right, and this thing's being a little stubborn. I'm gonna need to step away from the computer for just a moment. I'll be right back, but I will put some music on. Up. All right, I'm back. Anyways, so hopefully, with that, I hope everybody's having a good week thus far. Um, um, with that, let's see. So, um, I don't. I just want to give people a chance to get in and before we get started. Um, so obviously, there's been a lot of stuff going on in comics and stuff like that. And today, probably will go ahead and go over what's on tap in a few minutes. So everybody wants to be a master. Everybody wants to do this. Everybody wants to get there faster. Make their way to the top of the hill. Each time you try, gonna get a little bit better. Each step you climb, one more step up the ladder. It's a whole new world we live in. It's a whole new way to see. It's a whole new place with a brand new attitude, but you still gotta catch 'em all. Be the best that you can be. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. It's a whole new world we live in, but you still gotta catch 'em all. Be the best that you can be. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. You took the heater off. It's like you just. Alright. So anyway, and as always, guys, if you are watching this, if you can, of course, like and share to where we can see if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated to join in on the conversation, all that. We're at the 8 minutes, and as always, if anything grabs your attention, as stated in the banner, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to comment and or ask questions. I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Anyways, now we're at the 8 minute mark. So I think it's a good time to go over what's on tap for tonight. So for the most part, we do have at least one article we're going to go over from Bounding into Comics. Depending on if there was anything, the one, the one article I did find was in regards from, Ethan Van Sciver's, I guess, response to the recent situation with DC Comics deciding to write a Joker story in which he's pregnant. You just love the kooky woke people. Oh boy. Anyways, so that plus, and then after that, of course, we'll head over to CBR, check out some stories there. Got the wrestling wrap up a little later, and then and then um and then of course and then of course I'm sorry, I'm just a little off, I guess, right now. But anyways, and then of course the this day in each history segment at the end. So anyways, why don't we go ahead and get started then? So with that, all right. So the first thing we're going to look at, of course, is this article mounting in the comics. Hmm. Oh boy. Even and Skyver reacts to the Joker becoming pregnant in new issue of Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing. DC Comics is getting weirder and weirder, in quotes there. No kidding. No kidding. And I know that this has been getting talked about a lot in terms of, I remember, we were talking about this the other, on Sunday, in fact, a little bit. For those of you who may have caught the panel show, the weekend edition, where we were talking about, the problem is that a lot of these comic book artists are trying to reach people who aren't buying the comic books. They're trying to reach these, very woke, progressive people who, at the end of the day, aren't really consuming the product, and they're basically just turning away all of their fans and all the, fans of this stuff. So, plus, to me, this art is not all that appealing either. But there's probably no character more apropos of weirdness than the Joker. But as it pertains to DC as a whole, just when you think you've seen everything, something even weirder happens. In a backup story in the new issue of Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, the Jester of Genocide became a dad, although not by means of typical biology. Ugh. Joker himself got pregnant and gave birth to a child after being hexed by Zatanna when she stops his caper to steal Gotham's water supply. So, okay, so basically, as punishment for committing a crime, they have the sorceress here in Zatanna. They have her hex him to where he becomes pregnant as a punishment. I wonder who wrote this freaking book. uh, Casting a backward spell on Eno Elso Liu Reva Eva Ryoy Ebab. That means no one else will have your baby. Causes the prankster to reach 9 months in record Okay, I mean, there are different ways that spell could have worked. Like, um, basically just killing off all the potential sperm in his body, but no, they decide they want to, well, no one else is gonna have his baby, so I guess he's gonna have his baby. And just as Yellow Flash had put it, um, as Yellow Flash had of course put it, poop it out, as it were. Oh God, this is so incredible. Incredible what these people are thinking. Anyway, let's get back to the article here. Um, let's see. At a natal exam conducted by the Atomic Skull. So the Atomic Skull is a OBGYN now in this person's universe. Okay. I don't think having a guy who has a radioactive flaming head uh, is really a good idea for a doctor of any just being it's dangerous just to be in close contact with such a person. So, Joker has a child when he vomits up sentiment mud that coalesces into his own mini. So, okay, instead of having him poop it out, they have him vomit it out. Okay. Oh, okay. That mentally remark how handsome his dad is. This bizarre reproduction won't go over well with Batman, but first, here in reality, former DC creator Ben Skyver made his disgust known. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of people disgusted by this story, by this garbage. Boy, boy. I mean, this is sheer premise of okay, a female sorceress deciding to just make a guy pregnant as punishment for a crime. That at the core of it just screams idiocy. And this is, I guess, the tweet. DC Comics getting weirder and weirder, allowing more. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I would have to agree with. So this is what, of course, the Ethan's tweet said. DC Comics is getting weirder and weirder, allowing more perverts and fetishists to make grotesque filth out of their classic characters. Fellows, Batman is your last sellable comics franchise. Normal readers might not enjoy Atomic Skull giving Joker a prenatal pelvic. I would have to agree with that. Plus, I would think having Atomic Skull, as I just mentioned a second ago or a moment ago, I think having Atomic Skull as a doctor of any kind would be dangerous, considering that he's basically like a walking he's a walking a radiated skull walking around. I mean, it's like I mean, oh boy. Oh, you even look at that. You even see his glowing head right there. That's just outrageous. That's just outrageous. Let's see if anybody's joined us yet. As we're covering this incredible story here. Quote. Yeah, and pretty much we saw this. Quote: DC Comics is getting weirder and weirder, allowing more. Yeah, and we read that part from the tweet. He tweeted along with screenshots of the story written by Matthew Rosenberg and illustrated by Francesco Francavilla. Okay. Matthew. Oh, jeez. Dude. Dude. He also addressed flailing DC, the flailing DC, um, and we read that part as well. Okay, from the anyways, comic reviewer Jamal Baraka of the Substack I Review Comics um, sounded off in the replies with his shocked reaction analysis. Quote, comics are for the young and young at heart, he wrote. Unquote. He wrote, quote, what 9-year-old boy or girl wants to see Joker get a prenatal check? Unquote. He'd add, there are, quote, a bunch of weirdos at Marvel and DC. I would say so. I think there would be a lot of parents, particularly in some of the more rural parts of the country, that if their kids were reading the book, burn, oh boy, I think a lot of parents, as the guy said, it was comics are meant for the young and young heart. So, I'm sure there are a number of parents of 9, 10, 11-year-olds who would be sitting there in utter horror if they saw that their kids were reading this stuff. Being exposed to this stuff. I'm sure a lot of you out there probably agree with me. You know, that is just something you don't want any kid to have to. I mean, now let me just say this, okay? No child should be exposed to anything, in regard, no child should be exposed to anything in regards to sexual, short of just the primary functions that they, yes, they should know that, what makes boys and what makes girls. Okay, they should know that boys have a venus and or penis, and girls have a vagina, and for at least terms of the waste disposal aspect of their body, the bladder and and urinary tract and all, they should understand that, yeah, that's where you're peaking. But that's the extent of what children should actually know or even be thinking about in regards to their, genitalia. Um, Not whether or not Joker's pregnant. So, then Baraka would continue. Quote, this is as bad as those uh, P baby comments in X-Men last week. Unquote. Van Sciver would concur with this assessment, responding, quote unquote, absolutely true. The Cyberfrog artist creator or mediated more, mediated more disbelief of the visual in his post thread. Asked Twitter user the White Bunny, quote, wait, this is real? Unquote. Van Sciver had to break the news and confirm, quote unquote, yeah, it is. Uh, Others came at him from the opposite end of the spectrum to question his outrage. First, Van Sciver was asked sarcastically why he cares about Joker's pregnancy so badly, and he answered, quote unquote, quote, care? I'm laughing at it in disbelief and disgust, unquote. For that, he got a snarky response, quote, laugh out loud. Sounds like you should stop finding inconsequential things to be mad about and get a life. Yeah, that's probably you, buddy. Uh, Van Sciver replied in kind, quote, my life is comics, dude. It's where I derive my living. I care about, in brackets, its sustainability, unquote, he explained. When Twitter user Markstig, um, I think keyword there, Marx, as in Karl Marx, didn't see the correlation whatsoever between someone's livelihood and Joker having a blob baby, and Skyver had to further clarify his point. Quote, so perverts making Batman comics repulsive has no effect on the comics business? Okay, he quipped. Basically, Ethan's point there is that if you're gonna start making comics in a way that's gonna turn off, like, that could end up turning off at the very minimum 50% of your readership, if not more, like 75% of your readership, to try to reach people who aren't even buying comics or even consuming them. That's a problem. That's a problem. You know, you know, if you're gonna basically put little fingers, put the bird to rural America and just totally jump on their values and jump on what they believe and try to force the garbage like this down their throat, they're going to, at the very minimum, stop buying your product, if not just outright burn it if they get their hands on it. In other words, if you're trying to indoctrinate their kids with this garbage, there are a lot of parents, I think, in Middle America who would take those books and burn them, send them straight to hell where they belong. Um, we have another person here. Again, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream and see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be nice. And also, if anything here grabs your attention, or anything here grabs your attention, or if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. If it's a question, I'll do my best to answer it to the best of my ability. So, anyways, as we continue on with the article here, the tenor, the same. The banter continued like that, with Skyver firing back at similar sentiments. Eventually, he was accused of wishing DC would hire him back, which, even if there was a chance, is unlikely. Personal politics aside, Ben Skyver makes money independently off his all caps work, um, and says he does so while DC is, uh, quote unquote, chugging that bleach. Oh boy! And puking out weird imagery. Oh boy. Yeah, anyways, yeah, I know this. It probably hearing all this is not probably the most enjoyable thing in the world, but it is what it is, right? All right, so let's keep going here then. Let's see. All right, as we continue on here. All right, so there we go with that article. So that was quite a fun read, wasn't it? Anyways, I did say we'd go over to CBR after this, of course. But first off, let's see if there's anything came up in the last, as I was reading that from Bounding in the Comic that may be worth looking into. And it doesn't look like that, but that was a pretty interesting story. Getting Ethan's take on the whole situation with the man who stopped laughing. So, actually, before we do go over to CBR, though, I'm going to check RJ's site, Critical Blast, see if maybe he's got some news articles of interest. I didn't do this earlier. I kind of wish I had, just to see, anyways. But since we'll just see if anything here is. Say that was from last week. Nope. Let's see. Nothing there, or nothing new there, anyways. Nothing new there either. Okay. So with that, we're now gonna head over to CBR. We'll go check that out for a bit. Before let's see what we can find there. Oh wow, that's all right. That's interesting there. Sure, we'll hear more about that. So I guess probably hear more about that tomorrow. And I was gonna go over some of that tonight as well. But let's see. If there's anything that's non like, of course. Let's see. Yeah. Mark Wade is working on multiple unannounced. All right. Well, this is probably something to be take note of. So we'll go ahead and look at this real quick. All right. So exclusive. Hey Rick, you just missed me going over an article on Bounding into Comics where we're talking about Ethan Van Sciver's reaction to the Joker being pregnant storyline in the man who stopped Joker, the man who stopped laughing. It was quite a humorous article to say the least. But anyways, if you can remember to like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, and also if you can if anything here grabs your attention or if anything here grabs your attention or want to ask about anything, feel free to do so, and I'll try to answer the questions as best I can. Anyways, let's get to this. Exclusive. Mark Wade is working on multiple unannounced DC projects. In an exclusive CBR interview discussing Lazarus Planet, Mark Wade reveals he is writing more than one unannounced DC project set to launch in 2023. Article by Sean Gribben, published 9 hours ago. So let's see what we got here. So Mark Wade has revealed that he is working on two DC projects that have yet to be announced. one of which he is, quote, looking forward to most, unquote, in 2023. Wade sat down with CBR for an exclusive interview discussing Lazarus Planet Alpha Number 1, which, for those of you who don't know, came out today, I believe. Went over that last night, I believe. The beginning of a brand new event for DC Comics that will run between January and February 2023. These first couple months here. As the conversation wrapped, Wade was asked what from his upcoming DC work is he excited for most in 2023. This interviewer listing out, quote, Lazarus Planet, Batman, Superman, World's Finest, Shazam, or otherwise, unquote. Wade responded, quote, I am having a ball doing World's Finest, but there is an, in smaller quote, otherwise, there are two otherwises, end quote. Let's see. Regarding the quote unquote otherwises, the writer continued, quote, one of them we've talked a little bit about here and there, but one of them is going to be a surprise to everybody, and that is the thing I'm probably looking forward to most, launching that, in smaller quotes, otherwise, end quote. In November 2022, DC announced part of its quote-unquote Dawn of DC lineup, or Dawn of DC quote-unquote lineup, an initiative set to launch over 20 new titles in 2023. But several remain a mystery as of writing. One title known, however, is that Wade will team up again with World's Finest artist Dan Mora for a new Shazam series out in June. But it seems fans have more to look out for in the new year based on Wade's comics. Hmm. So if this is all from an interview, at least they're not, really full on doing the full text interview kind of thing. They're just giving you little snippets here and there. So, anyways, as we continue on here, a recap of Mark Waid's DC work between 2022 and 2023. Waid made his return to the DC ongoing series game with the debut of World's Finest in March 2022. The title's first arc introduced the Devil Neja, a villain that would go on to be the main protagonist of Waid's big 2022 miniseries, Batman vs. Robin, illustrated by Mahmoud Asrar. As of writing, Batman vs. Robin has not released its fifth and final issue, being that the Lazarus Planet event will bridge the gap between Batman vs. Robin numbers 4 and 5. Mark Waid shares details about Shazam. What comes next from Waid remains to be seen, but Lazarus Planet is set to shake up status quo for several DC's heroes. In the same interview, Waid revealed that Lazarus Planet will permanently affect how magic works in the DC universe, which will impact the Shazam family ahead of Shazam's new series. For Shazam, Waid promised that the series will quote, will be fun, unquote, with a lighter tone similar to his Impulse run rather than a, quote, straight up superhero tone, unquote. Yeah, but what a lot of people may not remember or may not know or remember is that Shazam, who everybody knows traditionally is is Fawcett Comics' Captain Marvel. Um, those stories I can tell you because I did read some of those stories before. They were they were a little bit more lighthearted. They still had the superhero tone, but you still had kind of a lighthearted tone to them. Way back there in the 40s and 50s when it was around. So, um, anyways, Lazarus Planet Alpha Number One is on sale now from DC Comics. Written by Wade, illustrated by Riccardo Federici, colored by Brad Anderson, and lettered by Steve Wands. The issue also features a backup story, quote, Neja and the Monkey King, unquote, written by Jean Luen Yang, drawn by Billy Tan, colored by Sebastian Cheng, and lettered by Janice Chiang. Main cover art for Alpha is by David Marquez and Alejandro Sanchez, with variant cover artwork contributed to by Lee Gerbert, Ben Oliver, Felipe Masafera, Ariel Colon, Bernard Chang, Federici, Pete Woods, Helene the Noble, and Tiago de Silva. Anyway, so with that, let's get ready to move on to the next article here. Um, all right, just by clicking that, I guess, able to. So let's go ahead and see some other projects, see if anything else here. All right, let's see. All right, so let's see. Yes, I got some information here. Let's see. Marvel's three comic book day titles reveal Spider-Man's new suit, true power. Peter Parker will test the true power of the new suit he received from Norman Osborn in Marvel's three comic book day 2023 Spider-Man Venom #1. Article by Brandon Square, published by Harvard. Spider-Man will test the true power of his new suit in one of Marvel's three comic book day titles. Marvel revealed new synopsis information for its four upcoming three comic book titles. Three Comic Book Day 2023, Avengers X-Men #1, Three Comic Book Day 2023, Spider-Man Venom #1, Three Comic Book Day 2023, Marvel Voices #1, and Three Comic Book Day 2023, Spidey and His Amazing Friends #1. The publisher also released new 3D artwork for the four titles along with a design sheet for the camp. The new threat Riri Williams, Ironheart, will have to face. I guess these are the images they want to show us here for the pre-comic day books. Let's see. Free Comic Book Day 2023 Spider-Man Venom #1 will both see Peter Parker used the suit he previously received from Norman Osborn, formerly known as Green Goblin, but now acting as Marvel's Gold Goblin, um, while also introducing a new foe for Venom to fight. The synopsis reads, quote, Free Comic Book Day 2023, Spider-Man Venom number 1 will web-slinging readers into the exciting developments currently taking place in the world of Amazing Spider-Man and Venom. First, see Zeb Wells and Patrick Gleason unleash the full fury of Peter Parker's new Spidey suit and reveal the exciting plans for one of Spider-Man's fiercest foes. Then witness a symbiote experiment gone horribly wrong and the creation of a terrifying new enemy for Venom in a story by writer Al Ewing, new Venom artist Hoppy. Um, plus, a surprising preview of new Marvel stock, I guess of a new Marvel. Just on the horizon by two of Marvel's top creators. What else is Marvel releasing on Free Comic Book Day? Marvel sees um, uh, Free Comic Book Day 2023. Marvel's Voices number 1 bracket quote, this issue um, invites readers the groundbreaking critically acclaimed Marvel's Voices series, which which spotlights creators and characters across Marvel's diverse and ever-evolving universe. The book will include a range of stories from previous Marvel's Voices issues that star Ms. Marvel, Luke Cage, Wave, and more. Plus, a brand new Ironheart adventure by writer John Jennings and Paris Allarine that debuts her deadly new nemesis, Kim. Unquote. Free Comic Book Day 2023, Avengers X-Men number 1, will feature a handful of stories playing into the publisher's upcoming quote-unquote Fall of X event. Additionally, the issue will provide new details surrounding the Jonathan Hickman and Valerio Schiti mystery project that was initially announced during San Diego Comic Con. Quote, Free Comic Book Day 2023, Avengers X-Men number 1 features a pair of all new stories that set the stage for the new evolution in mutant adventures. Fall of X, unquote. Marvel said, quote, first, X-Men masterminds Jerry Duggan and Joshua Cassara give fans a peek at the drama to come at this year's Hellfire Gala and reveal the surprising fate of Captain Krakoa. Then, superstar artist Javier Garron joins Dugan for a story that features the rise of Stark Sentinels and lays the groundwork for an uncanny new team book launching later this year. Um, Plus, meet Jonathan Hickman and Valerio Schiti at the crossroads of science and magic with a sneak peek at their upcoming mystery project. Unquote. Lastly, Free Comic Book Day 2023, Spidey and His Amazing Friends number 1 is a new story aimed at younger readers, starring a number of fan favorite Spider-Man characters. Let's see if there's anything there. All right. All right. So, anyways, okay, and we read that first line there. The synopsis reads, quote, Free Comic Book Day in 2023, Spidey and his amazing friend number one is back. Swing into adventure with Spidey, Ghost Spider, and Miles as they face off against Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and more in this spectacular special, filled with easy-to-read comic stories based on the hit Disney Junior show. This book is perfect for the youngest readers, aged 5 to 7. Young fans will even be able to test their wall crawling skills with thrilling interactive activity pages. Kids will love this not to be missed comic, a perfect primer for the newest generation of Spider fans. Unquote. Um, Free Comic Book Day 2023, Avengers X-Men number one, is written by Jerry Dugan and Jonathan Hickman. Features art by Joshua Casada, Javier Garon, and Valerio Schiti. Cover art by Garon. Free Comic Book Day 2023, Spider-Man Venom number one, is written by Zeb Wells, Al Ewing, and more. Features art by Patrick Gleason, Cafu, and more, and cover art by Gleason. Free Comic Book Day 2023, Marvel's Voices number one, written by John Jennings, Nyla Inuksuk, Sabir Perzada, Alyssa Wong, and Cody Ziegler. Features art by Paris Aline, Natasha Donovan, Eric Koda, Stephen Byrne, Diogenes Neves, and Eder Messias, and cover art by Chris Allen. Free Comic Book Day is Saturday, May 6th, 2023. So that's coming up, late spring here. So, anyways, there we go with that. Before I continue, I'm going to need to step away from the computer for a moment. So, I will be right back, as it were. But I will put on some music while I'm gone. So I'll be right back. All right. Anyways, um, huh. Anyways, now we'll probably get back to articles. Yeah, let's see. I think we'll do maybe one or might do one or two more here. And we'll move on to the wrestling. Let's see if there's anything more here. That was it right there. Let's see. All right. So, anyways, all right. So, anyways, we're about to hit. We're gonna go over to TV here first. Let me go down to. And it's inside. Okay, we saw that yesterday. So anything inside like a day ago. All right, well, let's take a look at this article here. So, inside job creator, in smaller quotes, heartbroken over Netflix cancellation. Inside job creator Shion Takuchi opens up about Netflix pulling the plug on the adult animated series, saying she's devastated, quote unquote, by the decision. Article by Leon Miller, published 14 hours ago. Inside job creator Shion Takuchi recently described herself as quote unquote heartbroken following the Netflix adult animated series shock cancellation. Takuchi shared her feelings about Netflix's decision to scrap Inside Job on Twitter as part of a wider statement confirming reports that the show's demise were indeed true. Quote, I'm heartbroken to confirm that Netflix has decided to cancel season 2 of Inside Job, unquote, she wrote. Quote, over the years, these characters have become real people to me, and I am devastated not to be able to watch them grow up. In bracket, lead characters, Reagan and Brett, deserve to get their ending and finally find happiness. Unquote. Takuchi also thanked Inside Job's fan base for supporting the series, saying it had helped soften the blow of the show's cancellation. Netflix pulling the plug on Inside Job came as a surprise to many fans, as the streaming giant previously renewed the animated series for a second season in June 2022. It's currently unclear why Netflix reversed Inside Job's renewal, although the viewership figures of season 1, in parentheses, which was released in 2 parts, likely played a factor. Regardless of the reasons why Inside Job was ultimately wound up, It now holds the dubious honor of being the second Netflix series canceled in 2023 after only one season. First was period mystery sci-fi outing 1899, which was axed despite its creators, John J. Fries and Baran Odar, having already mapped out a further 2 seasons worth of story. Times ahead for Netflix. These cancellations come during a run of negative headlines for Netflix. Notably, news broke in summer 2022 that Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav is reportedly unhappy with the mass media conglomerate's existing partnership with Netflix. Now I know we may have heard some of this from James pointing it out on Sunday as well. He may have talked. I don't remember if he talked a little much about this, but um, let's see. Insiders claim that Zaslav was so upset by Netflix's payment terms that he instructed Warner Brothers' various teams to hold off on selling any finished shows to Netflix for several weeks. At the time, a source within Warner Brothers expressed confusion at Zaslav's position, insisting that the existing arrangement with Netflix had so far generated quote unquote big numbers for the company. Maybe he saw something in the numbers that nobody else did. Netflix's other major concern of late is the shrinking subscriber base. Yeah, that could be it. That could be part of what maybe that's part of what David Zaslav saw too. That people were tuning out of Netflix, as it were, not tuning in. So maybe that was part of it too. The streaming giant is aiming to combat this decline with a series of measures, including a controversial effort to clamp down on password sharing. Netflix is currently testing its new password restriction system in Latin America and reportedly has plans to roll out the system in other regions over the course of 2023. I guess the idea of if you're not if by password sharing instead of maybe having three separate customers um, paying, you have just have those three paying through one basically. I guess. Um, Anyways, Inside Job Season 1 is currently streaming on Netflix. Okay, so there we go with that one. We're at on time here. Alright, so just after an hour here. Alright, so let's see what else. Might be able to get one more. Oh, here we go. Here's Chocolate Velma again in the news. HBO Max's Velma gets haunted new artwork. Are they trying to maybe fix the issues of her being Chocolate Velma, I guess? HBO Max's upcoming animated series, Velma, gets a spooky new poster ahead of its January 12th premiere. Article by Daniel Gilman, published 11 hours ago. It's middling season on HBO Max. Consumer has released a new poster for its upcoming animated Scooby-Doo spin-off, Velma. ahead of its January 12th premiere, which showcases the titular character walking through the halls of a haunted high school hallway. Mindy Kaling is Velma. Oh boy. An adult only Velma. Um, Starring Mindy Kaling, the titular character Velma follows the amateur sleuth and the rest of those meddling kids before they form Mystery Inc. The mature comedy received a straight to series order in February 2021. Will feature an East Asian version of the character. Really? The way she looked more like a chocolate bunny to me. Like one of like the Cadbury bunnies you see at Easter every year. Like Cadbury eggs or something like that. Quote, it is a tremendous privilege to build on the 100-year plus legacy of the small quote cartoons at this company. HBO Max Executive Vice President of Comedy and Adult Animation, Susanna Makos, said at the time, quote, we can draw a straight line on hundreds of childhood hours spent watching Bugs Outwit Elmer to the current slate of adult animated projects we are building here at HBO Max. And we think fans will agree. I don't know. I think you'll have a lot of traditional Scooby Doo fans actually tuning out, opposed to tuning in, because I don't think anybody ever really imagined that there'd be a chocolate Velma. Let's see. We are proud to introduce a distinctive group of series from a wide range of diverse creators that will form a first stop destination for animation lovers everywhere. Yeah, I'm sure that Chocolate Velma is going to be a big hit, right? The series will also feature the core cast of the classic Scooby Doo cartoons, including Sam Richardson as Shaggy, Constance Wu as Daphne, and Glenn Howerton as Fred. Scooby Doo is not set to be part of the series, instead, shifting the focus to Velma and the gang's primary detective as the gang's primary detective. Yeah, I mean, and I know I know a lot. I've heard a lot of people say this. How can you have a Scooby Doo series without Scooby Doo? Granted, I know this is a spinoff, and this is more to focus on Velma, but to just completely get rid of Scooby Doo and not feature Scooby at all, I mean, you know, it's ludicrous. It's like I doubt very seriously if people are going to be watching. You might have a few woke people out there watching it, cheering out, "Yay, Chocolate Velma!" But of course, they're not going to call it Chocolate Velma. I'm the only one who does that. But anyways, um, however, longtime voice of Scooby and Fred, Frank Welker, is set to voice William Jones, Fred's father. Um, well, I guess Frank Welker may have just more recently been. I know he has been Fred's voice since since you know since Fred Jones' debut back in 1969's Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Of course, Don Messick was the first voice of Scooby Doo up until his passing in 1989. And then I do know for a while that I think Scott Innes had done Scooby Doo, but I don't know if Frank Welker had done it a whole lot. maybe more recently. But anyways, other cast members include Jane Lynch, Wanda Sykes, Russell Peters, um, Melissa Fumero, Stephen Root, Gary Cole, Ken Luong, Sherry Jones, um, Weird Al Yankovic, Fortune Feinster, Yvonne Orgy, Sarayu Blue, um, Nicole Byer, Ming Na Wen, Shane Mitchell, Debbie Ryan, Kulap Vilasak, NBA All-Star Carl Anthony Towns. Kaling was eager, quote, reimagine what Scooby-Doo would be like if Velma were of East Asian descent and lived in a different world. And so in that version, which is going on HBO Max, first, there's no dog and there's no van, but we have our four key characters through a different lens. Okay, if this is how she imagined it, then this is a classic case of bait and switch. This is a classic case of a bait and switch. They're essentially trying to use the Scooby-Doo name here to push an agenda, okay? To push this diversity agenda, so they're trying to use, they're not even going to have Scooby-Doo in the actual series. This is not a Scooby, they may be promoting it as such, but this is not a Scooby-Doo series. Okay? It pretty much said right there her vision for these characters had nothing, there was no Scooby-Doo. There's no Scooby-Doo, then that whole world is like nothing. So Tom Asham, former president of Warner Brothers Discovery Kids, Young Adults, and Classics, said in 2021, Asham left Warner Brothers Discovery in May 2022, probably realizing that, his time was over with David Zaslav being there. Velma debuts Thursday, January 12th on HBO Max. So, yeah, this is not a Scooby-Doo series. It's just not. Okay, you can't have a series without the main character that the series was founded upon and built around. That's just not possible. This is more or less a bait and switch. They're using the Scooby-Doo franchise to push a diversity agenda. So with that, we're at hour 15, or hour 14, hour 15. So we're gonna probably start to wind things down a bit here. Anyways, so let me just close this out a bit here then. All right. So in a moment here, I'll go over some, just some reminder stuff for going on here. All right, so here we go on our all right, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the wrestling wrap up here. Um, so first off, in the WWE, of course, as we've been talking as we've been talking about, Vince McMahon is apparently back in the company. Now, I just saw a headline. We'll probably learn more about this tomorrow when I watch WrestleMania, their video on it. But apparently now Stephanie has stepped down as CEO and chairwoman, with her father coming back to the company. Um, Now there's still been a lot of worry about just how much. Um, it's also been stated though that you know that they are looking possibly to sell the WWE. Now, to who, we don't know yet, but that story is going to continue to develop over time. We'll just have to wait and see. Um, One other little note that I forgot to mention yesterday, I guess over the weekend, it was announced that Shelton Benjamin is celebrating 20 years in the WWE. So, it's kind of hard to believe that Shelton Benjamin, now granted, Shelton Benjamin, way back in the very beginning, in the early days of their career, Shelton Benjamin and and Brock Lesnar were coming up together through Ohio Valley Wrestling, and they were a tag team known as the Minnesota Stretching Crew, harkening to their amateur tactics. Um, but I guess in a way, I guess you could argue that yeah, for both of them it's been 20 years. 'Cause Rock was in the WWE at least back in maybe even a little longer. I think it was 2003, in fact, and that one scene I remember Rock was taking on, who Big Show at the time, real name Paul White, who's now of course a commentator on WWE. I still can remember Rock sitting there suplexing Big Show and then causing the ring to go on. That was, I think, in 2003. But yeah, Shelton Benjamin just recently celebrated his 20 years with the company. Mandy Rose had some interesting things to say in regards to her release. She's thankful to the WWE for the exposure she got. But she felt that she did not violate their terms of service. Because she was never. She claimed that she was never clearly told what that was, what they, I guess, found to be a problem. So, and of course, on last night, a lot of commentators were pretty critical of last night's Raw, and they felt, you know, even without the competition of Monday Night Football, it was a bit of a mediocre show. They really didn't do a whole lot. Apparently they started off slow and then came back with a third hour of tag and turmoil. Feel pretty exciting. So that's at least a lot of WWE news. Now AEW, All Elite Wrestling, on tomorrow night Dynamite, we're going to see, of course, the final match in the Best of 7 series between Death Triangle um, and the Elite. Winner of this match will be the AEW World Trio Champions. With that, as well as it's what they're calling Escalera de la Muerte match, which I believe is just a fancier way of saying it's going to be a ladder match, from what I understand. It's going to be a basically a trio 6-man ladder match going on there, um, as I understand it. So, and I don't know what exactly would happen, but I guess we'll wait and see. Also on the show, of course, AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter will be teaming with Dr. Britt Baker to take on Saraya and Tony Storm. John Moxley and Hangman Adam Page look to settle their issues once and for all with a match, all coming from the Kia Forum tomorrow night. Bryan Danielson will be taking on Konosuke Takeshita. And then I think and then Jungle Boy and Hook, currently the FTW champion, will be taking on the firm's Big Bill and Lee Moriarty. So, and that's all happening at the Kia Forum tomorrow night. In regards to, of course, Bryan Danielson, if he can go undefeated in singles competition between, of course, last week and February 8th, and he gets MJF for the AEW World Title at a 60-minute Iron Man match at Revolution. That's what's on the line for him there. And now, of course, then just a little reminder about Impact Wrestling news. This Friday will be a Hard to Kill event from the Hard to Kill pay-per-view from Center Stage in Atlanta. Center Stage, of course, historically well known as a place where CBS would show Georgia Championship Wrestling, eventually World Championship Wrestling for the 70s and 80s. So, but this Friday from Center Stage, there'll be Impact Hard to Kill pay-per-view. As I mentioned before, of course, as I mentioned last night, we'll mention again. The main event will see Josh Alexander defending the Impact World Title against Bully Ray in a Full Metal Mayhem match. Also on the card, of course, Motor City Machine Gun will be defending the Impact World Tag Team titles in a four-way elimination match against the teams of Keith and Rhino, the most recent former champions, major players of Matt Cardona and Brian Meyer, and Bullet Club members Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Actually, that does lead into one more WWE story. So it's been confirmed that Chelsea Green, the wife of Matt Cardona, is actually signed to the WWE. She just hasn't made her appearance on television yet because they're still working out creative. They're still trying to figure out what they're going to do with her for her character. So aside from that, of course, in a title versus career match, Jordynne Grace defends the Knockouts title against Mickie James. If Mickie wins, she becomes, of course, the Knockouts champion. She loses, her career ends. Trey Miguel defends the X Division title against Black Taurus, the guy he faced off in the finals of the tournament that was set up after Frankie Kazarian decided to exercise option C to get a shot at Josh Alexander, the world champion. Joe Hendry defends the digital media title against Moose in a number one contenders match for the Impact Knockouts title. You have Killer Kelly, Yona Purrazzo, Masha Slamovich, and Taylor Wilde all competing in a four-way match for that shot. A couple other matches that were signed to the show include Rich Swann taking on Steve Maclin in a Falls Count Anywhere in Atlanta match to settle their issues, and then Eddie Edwards takes on Jonathan Gresham. So that's all coming up this Friday on Impact on pay-per-view. And with that, let's go ahead and finish things off with this day in each history. Today being Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. Let's go ahead and take a look back at this day in each history. History! Let's see. All right. So, first off, we're going to head back 90 years ago. As on this date 90 years ago today, on this date 90 years ago today, as soon as I can get it up here, the Charles Mint Studios short animated feature Wedding Bells is released in theaters by Columbia Pictures. It was part of the Crazy Cat features. So on this date, back in 1933, 90 years ago today, Wedding Bells from Charles Mint Studios was released on this date 90 years ago today. Also, moving ahead in time here to 40 years ago, back in 1983, on this date in 1983, the Destroyer, who wrestled under the real name Dick Bayer, would defeat Billy Robinson for the Canadian international title of Lutte Internationale show. Now, some little things are going on here. So, this is basically what was happening with this title at this time. So Destroyer beat Billy Robinson for the title on the 10th. Sometime between January 10th and March 7th, Billy Robinson would win it back and then would lose it again, this time on the 7th, on March 7th, to Dino Bravo. Now, Lutte Internationale was a company also known as Varosak Productions, and I'll explain why in a moment here. This was a company that was, of course, founded by Frank Valois, Andre Roussimoff, better known to everybody as Andre the Giant. And I also believe that, of course, Gino Brito and Dino Bravo also had a hand in owning the company. This was a company that basically pretty much bought out the territory from the Rougeau brothers. They had initially were the promoters of this particular company, and then they ceased operating in 1975. And a year later, the four men I mentioned just now started up a wrestling company. So on this date, back in 1983, the Destroyer would defeat Billy Robinson for the Lutte Internationale, which is French for international wrestling. Canadian International Heavyweight title. So, with that, we'll move on to the next piece of niche history. Right. So, anyways, moving on to the next piece of niche history. Let me just double check a couple things here. All right. So, anyways, moving on here. Now we go back 15 years ago today, as on this date, 15 years ago today, Toei Animations, the Japanese title of it is Hakaba Kitaro, which translates as Kitaro of the Graveyard, premiered on Fuji TV on this date back in 2008, 15 years ago today. Now, this was an anime that was inspired by the popular Gege no Kitaro series of the late 60s. However, it's not considered part of the franchise. Let's see. Let me just see what the... So I guess Gay no Kitaro is also known as Kitaro of the Graveyard as well. So, anyways, so on this date back in 2008, 15 years ago today, the 2008 version of um, Hakaba Kitaro of the Graveyard, premiered on Fuji TV. And with that, we have one more piece of niche history to go over. Which is on this date in 2018, which was 5 years ago today. The fifth and final issue of Life with Kevin of Archie Digital was released online on this date back in 2018. So it sold for $1.99 and had 24 pages to it. So on this date, 5 years ago today, the fifth and final issue of Life with Kevin went on sale on this date back in 2018, 5 years ago today. So with that, guys, I thank you all for being here tonight. Hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Don't forget, of course, this Friday, have Rick Piper with me. We will be continuing our coverage of August of 1939 of comics that went on sale this week. Of course, we'll be focusing in on the early history of Marvel Comics as timely publications, as well as going over Marvel Comics #1. We'll be introducing you to the original Human Torch, the android Human Torch, as well as Namor the Submariner and Kazar. So with that, folks, I thank everybody for being here, and I thank everybody for all the likes and shares, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.